Results a short while ago. The body is responsible for the standardization process of all important school exit exams. It gives approval to exams written at independent and public schools across the country. For more on the briefing, we cross to SABC Education specialist Faith Daniels in Pretoria. Faith, what has Umalusi said about the exams this year?
Well, Umalusi has cleared they've approved the release of the results, and we know that the IEB results they due tomorrow. The national results are due on the 5th of January, that's on Monday. But with me to take us through the process and a very disturbing find in the provinces of KZN and the Eastern Cape is Umalusi Chair, Professor John Forming. Professor Forming, thank you for joining us. Just in terms of what has been found in KZN and Eastern Cape, just take us through that irregularity there.
Yeah, during the quality assurance process of the examination, one of the things that Umalusi does is it moderates everything. In other words, it audits everything. Mm-hmm. The responsibility for the conduct of the examination is the responsibility of the assessment body, in this case, the Department of Basic Education. Umalusi's own moderators had picked up patterns of irregular answers, which suggested to it that more investigation needed to be done. Is this a coincidence? How come some of the candidates give verbatim answers, all the same, to certain questions? There were also whistleblowers that came to the Department of Basic Education and said there are irregular practices that are consistent with this kind of pattern. The DB itself had picked up some of those patterns as well as the provincial department. So there are various ways in which dishonesty and patterns of group copying could be identified, most importantly through the marking. The markers know that here is something wrong, because you cannot have all the learners in one center giving exactly the same answer verbatim.
So let's just clear that up. We are talking about 39 centers in KwaZulu-Natal, yes. 19 centers in the Eastern Cape. Those results, the entire results of all the centers and the children at those centers will now be blocked?
Yes. So I need to explain that Umalusi's interest is on systemic irregularities. There will always be individual acts of dishonesty, people coming in with crib notes, people copying from each other, but if it's done on a systemic basis, if the whole center is involved, Umalusi cannot be true to its mandate and approve the results of those centers. So the only alternative it has, what Umalusi can do, is block the results, refuse to release the results at those centers. However, Umalusi's concern goes deeper. It is saying to the assessment body, those people that you appointed to run the examination at these centers should be brought to book. And you should do it in the strongest possible manner. And if it means that criminal action, criminal charges be brought against some of the perpetrators, then so be it. And I'm not talking about the learners. The learners are paying the maximum price. Their results are being withheld. They're already being penalized. Of course, that may not be the end of it for them, but this trend that is now emerging can only really occur if there is supervisory collusion. You cannot have widespread group copying without either the invigilator, the chief invigilator, even the principal that knows about this and condones it or allows it to happen, may even encourage it. I think that this is a worrying trend. It is something that would appear to have wider implications, so that people outside of the school are preparing answers in some cases and then bringing it to the school during the conduct of the examination. these are some of the pointers that we have. The investigation is ongoing, and once we have the final report, we would be able to come up with some clear ways of strengthening the system so that these things cannot happen again.
But all in all, you have approved the results for release, which means that you found that on the whole it has been fair and credible.
Yes, one has to understand that the 39 centres in one province that has 1,741 centres represents 2%. And there's no evidence anywhere else that this phenomenon is occurring in the rest of this. And if you take that together with the 19 centres and take that as a fraction of the more than 6,000 centres all over the country, it is fairly minuscule. It is the equivalent of that is if one learner in a class is found with crib notes or copying from another learner, you cannot then declare the whole class null and void because there was individual act of dishonesty. So a small fraction of the centres, small percentage, small number of the centres being implicated in this way does not render, in our view, the entire examination as compromised. Yeah. So we are happy on that basis to declare that the examination as a whole, because we've taken into account a lot of information, was credible and was beyond reproach. Yeah.
Professor John Foming there from Umalusi, giving us his insights to what happened in KZN and the Eastern Cape. Of course, Umalusi today clearing the release of the results, approving the release of the National Senior Certificate. Of course, the IEB results out tomorrow, the bulk of the results for the public schools on the 5th of January.
Thanks very